High Seas is one of the best Flesh and Blood sets of all time. From the art to the mechanics, the gameplay, and even collectability, this set has a little bit of something for everyone. But in this video, I want to look at the cards in the set itself, going over what I think are the top 10 cards in High Seas. Before I jump into it though, I do want to mention that this list isn't just based upon power level. While that certainly affects ranking, I'm also considering just how cool, unique, or thematic a card is as well. Which actually gets us into the honorable mention to this top 10, Loan Shark. Loan Shark is a fantastic way to get extra gold for each of the 3 pirates, but does ask you to either discard a card or pay 2 life later on when you fail to pay back that loan. While both Puffin and Marlin can absolutely make good use of this card, Gravy Bones especially loves it since the discard can actually be advantageous. But the best part about Loan Shark is undoubtedly the artwork. I mean, look at this goddamn smooth as hell shark man. He's even got a freaking mustache, for Christ's sakes. This dude oozes pure and unfiltered riz, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough to get it onto the top 10 list. Speaking of, no doubt inspired by Magic the Gathering's Moxen, High Seas comes with a set of 9 amulets, each with Legend of the Watery Grave. This means you can only run one of each, but they also have Watery Grave, meaning that Gravy Bones can play them from grave and the Compass gives them go again. And this is huge because Diamond Amulet's ability is that you can crack it for an action point. Normally you'd have to use a card like Time Snap Potion to set up, which ends your turn when you play it. But with Go Again, Diamond Amulet can be played to bank its effect for later, and then be followed up with an ally or an attack. This lets you set up for a huge turn later while not giving up the complete tempo of the game just to do it. While the Sapphire and Ruby Amulet are definitely contenders in terms of power level, Diamond Amulet is currently the best one for Gravy Bones, who is the only deck really using any of them at the moment. So while it's generic and could see play on more decks, due to only one hero truly using it, I've got it on this list at number 10. Speaking of generics that other heroes can take advantage of, and also speaking of extra action points, we've got number 9, Sea Legs. This yellow 3-block 6-power card has the very simple ability that when it's discarded, you make a Gold Kiss Rum. And the Gold Kiss Rum is a token that, by tapping your hero, you can give an attack or action Go Again. Now at first you might look at this as a Gravy Bones card, but where it truly shines is actually in Brutes. The 2 main decks it's seeing use in are KO and Levia, and it makes perfect sense as to why. Not only do you have a billion ways to discard it, but Brutes love extra action points for those massive Blood Rush Bellow turns. Being able to bank a rum for the right turn is huge, and the only downside to it is that you have to wait an extra turn to untap your hero because they're not pirates. And while that does stop you from using the Gold Kiss Rum on back-to-back turns, just the fact that you can hold on to them until you need them is incredibly powerful. If you've ever been on the receiving end of a Blood Rush turn while your opponent has an agility token, you know just how terrifying it can be. And now, Brute players don't even have to hope and pray for the agility on the right turn, giving them some much needed consistency. And for that alone, I think Sea Legs earns its spot at number 9 on this list. For number 8 on this list, I'm going to cheat a little bit and do both King Kraken Harpoon and King Shark Harpoon. But this is because they're practically the same card. Both of them are red 2-for-6 arrows, and they have the ability Go Fish that, on hit, forces the opponent to reveal a card. If it's a non-attack for the Kraken or attack for the Shark, your opponent discards it and you create a gold. But if you used a cannon this turn, instead you get to look at their hand and choose the card. I think it goes without saying, but being able to look at your opponent's hand and then force them to discard is extremely powerful. Now, it is a lot of resources to use because the only cannon in the game is Hammerhead, which costs 4, so to send one of these at full power costs 2 blues. But considering the Hammerhead also gives a harpoon +4 in overpower, that makes each of these King Harpoons go for 10 overpower, and that's before any other buffs. Whether or not your opponent can get around the overpower, sending one of these pretty much guarantees they won't have much of a turn to attack back, and for that, I've got them at number 8. Sticking to the theme of disruption, the next card on this list is Palanteer Aeronaut. This card is the mech 2-for-6, but instead of forcing discards, it forces your opponent to block with an equipment. It also has the thrice per turn instant ability to tap a cog you control to give it +1, and if you've tapped 3, it also destroys a defending card, and that includes the equipment. Do I really need to explain this one? It is a gigantic airship that, after a bit of setup, can go in for 9 and destroy both equipment or a different blocking card. And if that card was a 3-block, that effectively makes this a 2 for 12. Not only is this card super solid to send on its own, but it's also in the Mechanologist class, which has a lot of go again. If you pitch a blue, you might be able to come in with something like a Cloud Skiff or Sky Skimmer first with go again, and then send the Aeronaut, absolutely just decimating your opponent in a single turn. But even without its destructive power, Palanteer Aeronaut is one of the coolest looking cards in the set. I mean, come on, it is a giant airship, and for that alone, it earns its spot here at number 7. Out of all the allies that came in high seas, none stand out quite like Whaler Humperdink. And I mean that quite literally. Like, look at the sheer size of this chonky boy. Whaler Humperdink is an absolute humper sink of your resources, costing 6 to play and 6 to attack with, but for that effort, you get an absolute bomb of a card. This guy is an 11 power, 7 health ally. You heard that right, 11 power. Unless you have joined the game since her ascension to Living Legend, you might remember Enigma and the Manifestations of Miragai. After getting one of these with the Chi, you could use 1 resource and swing 8 turn after turn after turn. But due to ward, you couldn't take any damage or the Miragai would pop. Humperdink plays a similar role, although he costs more resources to play and swing with. However, he not only swings for a huge amount of damage, but it's the fact that your opponent needs to give up 7 damage of their own just to kill him that makes him so strong. This means a big attack from something like Brood or Guardian, or 2 to 3 cards from low to the ground decks like Ninjas. Play him late enough in the game, and your opponents might not even be able to keep enough cards in hand to kill him, letting him carry you straight to victory. But the true reason why I gave Humperdink the number 6 spot on this list over the other allies actually has a lot to do with the very next card. Give No Quarter is an absolutely insane majestic for Gravy Bones. It costs 0 and reduces the cost of your next 2 allies by 3 resources each. This lets you play allies like Chowder or Swabby for free and reduces the cost of Chum to 1. Of course, we can't forget about our large friend, Mr. Humperdink, who gets reduced to just 3 resources off of 1 Give No Quarter. But see, while playing a couple 2 or 3 cost allies in a turn with just 1 card is really solid on its own, what really puts Give No Quarter over the top is that you can stack them. Each one reduces the next 2 allies you play by 3 resources, meaning that if you arsenal one and get your 2 Humperdinks into the graveyard, you can wait until you see the second Give No Quarter and then drop both of them, playing 2 Whaler Humperdinks in the exact same turn for no extra resources. And there's not many decks that can easily deal with 2 11/7s in 1 turn, meaning that you're likely going to have one eat a bunch of damage and you can still swing with the other. But again, even if you're not double dinking around, being able to block with your hand, play 1 Give No Quarter, and recur 2 allies to reassemble your board is really strong on its own. Plus, it's a blue block 3. I mean, come on, man. So for that, and the fact that the art is a sick looking Jolly Roger, Give No Quarter earns the number 5 spot on this list. Coming in at number 4, we've got the only legendary on this list, Cranka. When I sat down to make this video, I decided that I didn't want to just fill it with the legendaries because, I mean, like, of course, they're some of the best cards in the set, so I had to settle on just 1. And while Dead Threads and Gold Baited Hook absolutely contended for this spot, like, I had to give it to the bird. Not only is he an actually named companion, but he also has some of the best art in the set and is actually a really good card too. He is a little inappropriate though, since when you unequip him, he cranks himself all over the arena. But in doing so, this typically activates Puffin's ability to draw a card, and I really hope I don't have to explain why drawing cards is good. Now, the downside to Polly is that once he's unequipped, he's vulnerable, and if your opponent can easily deal 1 damage, then your bird is just toast, but some opponents might not want to attack him right away, or if they do, they'll have to waste a 3 or 4 power attack. So in a good number of matchups, he could get left alone and you could use his ability again, and when he finally does die, he sometimes soaks up more than just the 1 damage. So despite Cranka being added to the sex offender registry for public indecency, he's also made it on the number 4 slot on this list. Number 3 on this list is the fabled card of high seas, Riches of Trople, Donnie. There have been many fableds over the years, some good, others deathmatch arena, but the Riches of Trople Donnie might just be the most playable fabled we have ever seen. It's a yellow gem that when pitched, creates a gold. And I don't know if you noticed, but gold is kind of really good right now. While this card comes with the downside of not being able to block, and trust me, that is a big downside, the ability to generate gold on pitch is really strong for some decks. Gravy Bones is a huge contender for this card, as he's already playing with so many non-blocks and having more gold generation is a necessity for him, but you can also very much play this in Puffin and Marlin because they're also very gold hungry. And not only that, but there are other decks like Kasai and Victor Goldmane that very much want this card. Kasai revolves around drawing cards, banishing reds and yellows to create gold, and then using that gold to raise an army. Victor, on the other hand, wants gold to fuel his clashes and to buff Visit the Goldmane estate, and is more than happy to run one more whiff for said clashes in order to get that gold. So whether it's the new pirates, older heroes like Kasai and Victor, or new ones we haven't seen yet, gold is very clearly a powerful token to be generating, and being able to do so just by pitching is really good. Plus, Riches of Trople Donnie is a gorgeous card and absolutely earns its spot at number 3 on this list. So far on this list, I've covered a good number of powerful Majestics, a legendary, and even the arguably most playable Fabled ever. So what could possibly be the number 2 card from High Seas? Nimi. No, I'm not joking. Nimi is a common 0-for-3 attack that has a very simple ability where, when you attack with it, you get to search your deck for a Nimblism and put it in hand. See, once upon a time, there existed a card called Belittle. Belittle was a card that could search out another card, Minnowism, and the pair of them were very strong. This is because not only could you search out the red Minnowisms for the pump, but you could also search out the blues for more resources, which powered a lot of go-wide turns. Now here's the thing, Nimi isn't as powerful as Belittle since it's missing 2 words that would make it broken. Go again. If you attack with just Nimi, your turn ends. However, if you have things like Flying High, Quicken Tokens, or a hero ability that could give it go again, Nimi becomes rather strong. When paired with different colors of Nimblism and Jack Be Nimble, Nimi unlocks a mini engine in decks that can abuse it, allowing not only for a powerful strategy, but also a branching one from other versions of a deck. For example, people have been experimenting with this in Bolton, meaning that there are now Nimi and non-Nimi builds of the same hero, offering more variety. This is very reminiscent of when there were Belittle and non-Belittle versions of Briar back in the day. So while Nimi might not be a broken card by any means, it brings back the same type of synergy with decks that Belittle Minnowism did, allowing for some super interesting builds for heroes that can use it. And as time goes on, I imagine we'll see even more heroes come and go from the game who can make good use of Nimi. So for the fact that it opens up these mini engines in decks and we're going to see it come in and out of the metagame, I gave it this number 2 spot on this list. Which means, coming in as the number 1 best card in High Seas, I have none other than Boaty McBoatface itself, Conqueror of the High Seas. Also known as Command and Conqueror, also known as C&C. This beastly attack is, first of all, a Titanic ghost ship, but it's also a 4-for-7, and when it hits a hero, it destroys all cards in their arsenal that makes that many gold tokens. However, if you've got 2 blue cards in pitch, it gets +1 and go again. Usually when we get these massive disruptive cards, they are your last or only attack in a turn. And that makes sense because if you're already disrupting your opponent, it's a bit rude to be able to keep doing more. But the boat? Nah, son. 8 go again with Arsenal Disruption, leaving 2 resources floating. And you know what also costs 2? Command and Conquer. Imagine blocking the C&C for 8 just to save your arsenal, and then they follow it up with the actual C&C. I think I just rage quit right then and there, honestly. But in all seriousness, Conqueror of the High Seas is one hell of a power card. While it does cost 2 blues, which is steep, it has a huge impact because 8 go again, destroy the arsenal, and make a gold on hit is just insane. While I haven't personally tried it in all of the pirate heroes, I can say that this card absolutely puts in work in Gravy Bones. Being able to use a blue setup card, then sending the boat, then playing an ally and attacking with that makes for some crazy good turns. Because if your opponent does try to block and save their arsenal, that often means they don't have too many cards to clear your board after. The only thing that can be said about Conqueror of the High Seas is, same as C&C, it's not so great when your opponent doesn't have an arsenal, but 8 go again on its own is still big numbers. So while I don't think Boaty McBoatface is as busted as a card like Felling of the Crown, I do think that it is the best card in High Seas and earns its place at number 1. However, that will be it for this video. Were there any cards that you think should have been on this list that I didn't include, and do you agree or disagree with my placements? I mean, Who am I kidding? It's the internet. Of course, you're all gonna disagree with like everything I've said here, okay? I'm gonna get some comments like, actually, return fire is 1 per 7, so mathematically. Anyways, leave a comment for the algorithm, and thank you for watching. And an extra special thanks to the patrons. Huge shout out to the GigaChads Geeks first, Elixir, Vinny, John, Ty, Chemical, Bryant, Dark Memoria, and Big Hungry. Then we got the Alpha Chads Thomas, Zajima, and Approximo, and then there's the Super Chad Cece, Ben, Yogbadoodles21, Kevin, and Wolf Shadowmancer. Thanks again as always, and stay Chadly, my friends.